What's good? It's Russell Ken here. Today I'm going to be discussing the recent episode of Monday Night Raw. Going to jump straight in. Starts off with Seth Rollins making his return to Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania. He's been dealing with injury. I am so surprised he came back. I thought he wouldn't have come back until bare minimum maybe Survivor Series with his injuries, but he has come back and he is back. He has returned. He got a standing ovation. Got a crazy pop from. He gets in the ring. Of course, appreciate the fans, thanks to fans. Then he starts mentioning how he wants to get back to where he was. He wants to get back to being the best in the world, best in the ring, and he wants his World Heavyweight Championship back. Then he starts alluding to Money in the Bank and how that could be the easiest way to get there. Out of nowhere, Damian Priest comes out, his theme music hits, he comes in the ring, and him and Seth starts talking to each other. Damian starts mentioning how he wanted to cash in on Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins ends up responding, saying he respects it and that they are more alike than different. He mentions how they both started off in factions, his faction being the greatest of all time, the Shield. He mentions how they both won Money in the Bank and how they both used the Money in the Bank contract to their advantage and they both won it at WrestleMania. But the only difference is that he grew a set of pairs when he was able to break away and become his own man, and he ended up asking what legacy does Damian Priest wants to leave behind. He starts getting underneath Damian Priest's skin a bit, and Damian Priest ends up talking about his legacy and ends up mentioning that he wants to face Seth Rollins and he wants to prove that Seth Rollins isn't better him, because the last time they fought, it was for the World Heavyweight Championship, and Seth Rollins ended up defeating Damian Priest, and he wants to prove that he is better and he is not the same Damian Priest from before. Seth Rollins didn't agree to it at first because he thought, the Judgment Day may jump him. Damian Priest ends up saying that, the Judgment Day not here. They don't even know I'm out here. And Seth Rollins accepts. And it's going to be Damian Priest and Seth Rollins at Money in the Bank, which is crazy to think about. And I'm interested to see how that plays out. I don't think Seth Rollins will win. I don't think it makes sense to put it back on him immediately. Well, I could kind of see them doing that to a degree, but I don't see them putting the title back on him immediately. But I'm very interested to see how that plays out, because I did not expect Seth Rollins to be back. I'm excited for him to be back. I'm excited to see what else he does, and I'm excited to see what they have in store for him. Quick little segment. Adam Pearce and Alpha Academy. Chad Gable wants another opportunity for the Intercontinental Championship, but he cannot get it. Adam Pearce ends up saying that he got to go to the back of the line. Chad Gable ends up accepting it, ends up saying that he wants a match. Adam Pearce sets up the match, and this is going to lead to the next match, which is Chad Gable versus Braun Strowman. He ends up losing this match very cleanly, by the way. He got destroyed. This was basically a squash match, basically. But what happens after the match? After the match, Chad Gable, of course, is very frustrated. He's angry. He wants all Alpha Academy to get in the ring. He calls them all out, and he starts abusing and starts hitting onto Tozawa. He starts pushing him, slapping him, whatever. Then Maxine Dupree interferes and gets get in between Chad Gable and Akira Tozawa. Then Chad Gable starts, talking trash to Maxine and ends up taking her crutches, the crutches that she needs to walk, and ends up throwing them out of the ring. Throws them out of the ring. Otis, of course, is looking at Chad Gable. He ends up helping Maxine first. He ends up helping Maxine get out of the ring first. And while he's doing that, Chad Gable is still talking to Akira Tozawa. He's still talking to him, and he ends up slapping Akira Tozawa all the way to the ground. Otis ends up getting frustrated. He gets mad. He ends up looking Chad Gable and ends up pushing Chad Gable to the ground. It looks like Otis was about to do more damage, but he decided not to, and he ends up leaving the ring, and Alpha Academy ends up leaving him all in the ring, all alone. Love what they did here. I thought they was going to do more, but what they end up doing later on in the show, it made sense why they didn't do more, but this was great. This was amazing. Otis got that huge pop. Otis finally turned on Chad Gable, and officially it's over with with Chad Gable. I'm interested to see how Chad Gable will recover, because he did just lose to Braun Strowman for a shot at the Intercontinental Championship. So I'm interested to see how they're going to build on Chad Gable, especially what ended up happening at the end of the show, which is we're going to get to. But very interested to see what's next for Alpha Academy and Chad Gable. A quick segment with the Judgment Day. Damian Priest ends up walking up to Finn Balor, asking him about the key card. He's asking him why did he steal the key card. He ends up asking him in an aggressive way. Finn Balor felt offended, felt like that he couldn't be trusted. But Damian ends up saying that he only asked because he's been acting weird lately. Finn Balor basically made up an excuse and saying that he only took it so Dominic could stop worrying about it and that he could get rid of it. Then Damian ends up mentioning Money in the Bank. Finn Balor ends up alluding to it as well, and Damian ends up saying that he wants to know where Finn Balor's head at when he wins Money in the Bank. Finn Balor ends up responding that he says that he's going to be world champion. The way he said he was going to be champion, he kind of alluded to that he was going to cash in on Damian Priest. But he ended up joking about it and ends up saying that he ends up joking about it, though, of course. And they end up, sticking together and making up, of course. Then Dominic Mysterio ends up saying that has the group seen his purple vest? No one has seen it. It is apparently missing. And of course, we know that who most likely has his purple vest. Next, we get a triple threat qualifying match for Money in the Bank between Io Sky, Selena Vega, and Kiana James. This was a really decent match. Nothing too special here. Towards the end of the match, Liv Morgan ends up interfering in the match, and of course, she is the one wearing Dominic Mysterio's purple vest. She interferes. Selena Vega was getting the upper hand, but she gets distracted by Liv Morgan. This caused Kiana James to end up attacking Selena Vega, taking her out, but this also led to Io Sky to take out Kiana James. She hits her moonsault and picks up the victory, and Io Sky will be in the Money in the Bank ladder match. It only makes sense for Io Sky to win. It makes no sense for her to lose. As much as I love Kiana James, it's too early to put her in that match, to put her in a situation she hasn't been built up for. Same goes with Selena Vega. It looks like, though, they are building up Selena Vega versus Liv Morgan at Money in the Bank. That's what it looks like to me. So they may end up putting Selena Vega in a World Heavyweight Championship match between Liv Morgan and Money in the Bank. We get a Sami Zayn promo. Starts off with him mentioning how he's finna move on from Chad Gable. He's done with Chad Gable. He's completely done with Chad Gable. Then Braun Breaker comes out, and he comes out basically says that, look, you're next on the list of people that I'm basically going to destroy, I'm going to take out and continue my rampage. And he wants a shot at the Intercontinental title. Then Sheamus comes out mentioning his backstory, mentioning how that's not the title, that's the only title he hasn't won, how important it is to him, and he wants it. Braun Breaker gets frustrated. He ends up responding to Sheamus, ends up saying that you're not going to pretend like I'm not in the ring. I don't care what your story is. You're in my way, and that you don't get out my way, I'm going to do you like I've done everybody else. Sheamus responds, ends up saying that I understand you're the new hot thing, but you got to earn your way, and you better get to the back of the line before I put you there. They end up having a stare down. Sami Zayn interrupts, being kind of an instigator a bit, ends up saying that he's going to go to Adam Pearce to set a matchup between the two, and later on they will have a match to see who will face Sami Zayn for his Intercontinental Championship. Next, get a quick little segment, not going to speak too much on Alba Fyre, Isla Dawn, celebrating their new women's tag team titles. Then Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark interrupt. They basically talked trash, talked about the match. Shayna talked about how she tapped out Jade Cargill, but the ref didn't see, and how they basically got lucky and they won't hold those titles for long. So it looks like they're going to continue that feud, and they're probably going to have a match on next Monday Night Raw for the women's tag titles. So next, we get Dragon Lee versus Carlito. Not going to speak too much on this. This is continuing the Carlito and LWO feud. Liv Morgan comes out in the match, towards the end of the match. Liv Morgan comes out. She comes out because Judgment Day was out there. Dominic Mysterio, JD McDonough was all out there. She comes out, tries to, seduce Dominic Mysterio once again. Then Selena Vega ends up attacking Liv Morgan. Then this led to a brawl between JD, Dominic, and Joaquin Wilde. They end up taking out LWO, which lead to Dragon Lee getting distracted. And then JD McDonough ends up pulling his leg, which led to Carlito hitting the backstabber, and he picks up the victory here. Next, we get a quick Alpha Academy segment. Otis, Maxine, Akira Tozawa, they're all packing their bags. Chad Gable is frustrated. He comes in and he's wondering why he's packing his bags. Otis tells him that we're done and we're leaving you. You're on your own. Chad Gable is frustrated. He ends up telling them they're failures. They're not going to be nothing without him, and that he's going to do big things by himself. Then he starts alluding to Money in the Bank and that he's going to become a world champion. I'm very interested to see how this plays out. Now, this changed some things based off what happened towards the end of the show, because he is supposed to be in a qualifying Money in the Bank match next Monday Night Raw, but we all know what happens towards the end of the show. Is he even going to be in that match? So I'm interested to see what's next for Chad Gable, though. Next, we get a Drew McIntyre promo, and this was fairly quick because I thought he was going to be on a tyrant, like he was going to be going crazy, screaming, but no. He walked out there very sad, depressed, almost on the brink of tears. Crowd kept chanting CM Punk, and he couldn't even get words out, and he just ended up saying that, I quit. He just said, I quit. He just quit and left the ring. He left the ring, went all the way backstage. Triple H is trying to talk to him. Adam Pearce is trying to talk to him, but they can't get to him, and he just leaves the ring. Interested to see what's next for Drew McIntyre. I'm assuming they're just using this angle so they could build it up towards SummerSlam, or what most likely could happen is Drew McIntyre may attack CM Punk on Friday Night SmackDown, because CM Punk will make an appearance on SmackDown to cut a promo to give some news on his injury. I'm assuming Drew McIntyre may attack him there. Next, get Damage Control. We get Dakota Kai, Kairi Sane versus the KCs. During the match, Lyra Valkyria comes out in the support of the KCs, because I totally forgot to mention last week on my on my last week episode of the Raw review of Monday Night Raw. You guys can check that out. Lyra Valkyria ended up getting attacked, but the KCs ended up making a save for her. This episode, Lyra Valkyria came out to assist the KCs. During the match, for whatever reason, Dakota Kai and Kairi Sane was about to pick up the victory here. They was double teaming I think Kaden Carter, if I'm not mistaken. But out of nowhere, Dakota Kai ends up staring at Lyra Valkyria for whatever reason, and Lyra Valkyria wasn't even interfering. Like, she was just watching the match. She was just watching the match, supporting the KCs, but Dakota Kai kept staring at her for whatever reason. Now, I understand it was part of the booking, but from a logical standpoint, it doesn't make sense. She gets distracted for whatever reason. They end up taking, the KCs take advantage, and they pick up the victory. After the match, though, get a segment between the Damage Control and Io Sky basically ends up saying that Damage Control has to change, or I'm going to change it. Don't know what that means. I'm assuming that means to kick a member out. Interested to see how that plays though. Next, we get Sheamus versus Braun Breaker. This was a good match. Good match. We get towards the end though, where Sheamus is about to hit the bro kick, but Ludwig Kaiser comes from out of nowhere, interferes in the match, ends up attacking Sheamus' leg. They brawl for a bit, but Sheamus gets the upper hand. He gets the upper hand and ends up tossing Ludwig towards over the barricade. Braun Breaker comes from out of the ring and ends up spearing Sheamus. After he spears Sheamus, Ludwig recovers. He comes back, attacks Sheamus. Then he's finna do his signature drop kick, where he puts the opponent wherever he wants to injure the opponent, puts them on the steel steps. He ends up putting his leg on the steel steps. He ends up going in the ring, coming out, and ends up trying to do the run around again with the drop kick. But this time, Braun Breaker meets up with Ludwig Kaiser and spears him. He spears him. He speared his soul out of his body. Like, this was great. This was amazing. Braun Breaker being this reckless, out of control animal that you can't tame. I love it. Then he starts going to Chad Gable. They going back and forth. He ends up pushing Chad Gable. Chad Gable trying to get his payback, but he can't there. This was great. This is amazing. I can't wait to see how this storyline plays out. This was great. This was well executed. Next, we get Dominic Mysterio and Liv Morgan. She ends up talking to Dom. Dom wants his sweater back. I mean, his vest back. Wants his vest back. Liv Morgan ends up saying that you can get it back if you take it off of me. Dominic, of course, doesn't want to take it off of her. She ends up saying that I can help you a bit. She zips it down like a little bit. Then Dominic Mysterio pulling the zipper down slowly. He didn't do it fast. He did it slowly. Then Damian Priest ends up seeing it, comes to make the save for Dominic Mysterio. Damian Priest ends up talking to Liv Morgan, ends up saying that you need to leave Dominic Mysterio alone. He don't want nothing to do with you. But she says that I beg to differ. Interested to see how they continue this storyline. I can't wait to see what's next in store for Liv and Dominic Mysterio. What they've been doing has been absolutely amazing, and I can't wait. Next, we get Karrion Kross. He cuts a little promo basically saying that he wants a 1v1 match between either the New Day members and the New Day accepts. So next week, we're going to get Kofi Kingston versus Karrion Kross, because Kofi Kingston was the one that accepts. So next week, we're going to get Kofi Kingston versus Karrion Kross. Interested to see how that plays out. Now next, we get Jey Uso versus Finn Balor versus Rey Mysterio, the qualifying match for the Money in the Bank. Just going to get towards the end, though. Judgment Day ends up interfering, costing Rey Mysterio the match. They took him out. Finn Balor ends up trying to take advantage and ends up hitting the coup de grace on Rey Mysterio, but Jey Uso was on the top rope when Finn Balor goes for the pin, hits the frost back, and Jey Uso is in the Money in the Bank match, which I expected. I'm assuming he's going to be the main one winning Money in the Bank. Interested to see how that plays out, and I'm interested to see who else is going to be in the Money in the Bank ladder match. Now we get towards the end. After the match ends, the lights go off, and all the flashlights start going off. And then we get the debut of Uncle Howdy and the Wyatt Six. The lights go off. It's the camera pans to like this door that is like glowing, and all the fog is on the ground. Then it opens, and then you just see a woman who is Nikki Cross crawling on the ground, and she's crawling all the way to the lamp, you know, similar to Bray Wyatt. Then it pans all the way to the backstage area, and it's showing each and every member slowly through different angles. And each member they're showing, it's showing all these bodies on the ground, security, wrestlers, even blood. They was even showing blood. Like, it looked like they was on a murder. It looked like you was watching a murder scene. It looked like you was watching a scary movie. They were showing blood, like they was getting. It looked like they was getting killed. It literally looked like all the wrestlers died. Like, that's how it really looked. They end up showing us. They even showed one of the wrestlers, Chad Gable. They panned to Chad Gable where he had like a. It looked like he had a bullet hole in his head, like just blood dripping. Like, this was great. This was great. They panned to each member. They panned to Joe Gacy, Dexter Loomis, Eric Rowan. Like, they panned to each person. Then they eventually got to the final member, which is Bo Dallas as Uncle Howdy. They all end up eventually coming together to the ring. Uncle Howdy ends up picking up the lamp, ends up blowing it out, and that's the end of your Monday Night Raw. This was great. This was amazing. I can't wait to see how this works. Now, I heard that there's no supernatural elements, which should be a good thing. I just want them to be these crazy psychopath people that was on a rampage. This should be great. You guys let me know what you guys thought of this episode of Monday Night Raw. This was perfect. I can't wait to the next episode. I can't wait to see what Triple H is cooking. But you guys let me know your opinions down below. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. But yeah, that's